May I say all protocols observed. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me say first and foremost that I'm quite happy to have actually participated. And when Mheshimiwa called me in the morning, you remember I told you he had called and said he's coming. He's a guy who keeps his word. He should have been around. It was quite exciting. But also sitting here, watching the kids do their play here, and the message, and listening to my good friend, my classmate, Judge Fred Ochieng Andago, Nakimuli. I think the message is profoundly made. The case for mediation is well laid out. Sijui kama ni kweli. Najua nimeona mawakili marafiki zangu kama Njiro Mbogo hapo. Njiro Mbogo was a class ahead of me. Kimuli, you talked about some young man who taught you called Githu. Huyo alikuwa nyuma huyo. Huyo ni kijana mdogo. Yeah. Lakini cha muhimu sana siku ya leo ni kupata ufahamu kwamba haya mambo yote tunazungumzia ya mediation sio jambo ambalo limechukuliwa hapa juu juu. It has its foundation in our grand norm, the Constitution. And therefore I want to congratulate the judiciary, and particularly the judiciary in EMBU, for the launch. Because also in appreciation that all sovereign authority belongs to the people, and it is to them that we all derive the delegated authority that we exercise. That is very clearly stated in Article 1, Wanakimuli, isn't it? And actually in the judiciary, that term, Article 159, starts by saying that judicial authority is derived from the people. So is legislative and executive authority. And therefore, what the judiciary does, the service that is given to you, the sovereign, by the judiciary, is in accordance with the delegation that you have given to them. In fact, maybe Bwana Kimuli, ningetaka tu kidogo siku mwingine mtaenda pale bungeni, kwa sababu wamekataa kutumia kipengele kimoja muhimu sana. And actually it is titled mediation. Article 113 of the Constitution. When there is a dispute between the two houses of parliament, in the passage of laws or in whatever decision, Article 113 commands that you resort to mediation, which is, and it's actually elaborated very well. One house will appoint equal number of members as the other. Never mind that the Senate has only 67 and the National Assembly has 349. But when it goes to mediation, they must be equal. And I think therein now, like you can see the foundation. Why is it equal? Because there's nobody who is supposed to enjoy any advantage over the other. It may well be that some may be smarter, maybe wengine wanaweza kuweka wengine mwereka, lakini hiyo ni baadaye. But the Constitution dictates that in the event of a disagreement between the two houses, you form a mediation committee of equal membership. And whenever that has happened, issues have been resolved very easily. But of course, there's always, many Kenyans have never understood this thing called sibling rivalry between two houses. It is not unique to Kenya. The only thing in Kenya is that our media gets excited about very simple things. It is not unique to Kenya. I've traveled quite widely around the globe. If you go to England, many of you know that there's a House of Commons. Eh? You know the House of Commons, actually, those are the people who are elected by Mwananchi. The House of Lords. The House of Lords has bishops, hereditary peers. Now, this thing of this rivalry between two houses, if you go to London, the common refrain is, when you talk to people of the House of Commons, tell them about the House of Lords, they tell you, what waste of money. They say it is the single largest gathering of retirees. What business do we have discussing about affairs of the country? So it's not unique to Kenya. Go to the US, and know the US has got that bicameralism. It's in very many of their states. I think except one. All the others have got bicameral system. But the unique thing that brings the houses together is mediation in the event of a gridlock. It's just the other day, sometimes I want to give to give these examples because they demonstrate the point that both my friend Judge Ochieng and Kimuli have spoken to. The other day, just recently, and I'm sure if you jog your memory, you can remember other instances in the past. It's just the other day, President Biden of the US, you read he was having difficulties increasing the debt ceiling of his country. And it was reported that if they don't agree by this date, the systems will grant to a halt. What happened? Because, the US system, which, we said we adopted this new constitution and the presidential system, we say pure. The only person I know who said there's nothing called pure. Every time we presented a report to him, one of my colleagues would always say, Your Excellency, we have we have decided to go pure presidential. And then, Mzee Kibaki, you'd have his pen ready, you are presenting. You say pure, then he drops the pen and says, what is pure? There's nothing pure. Because, anything democratic is permanently work in progress. What happened recently, the Speaker of the House, because the Speaker, we adopted this, we called it pure, but we never quite went the full hog. Because in America, there is a president, and when it comes to legislative authority, leadership, it is the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the Senate in America is actually the Vice President. And that gives the nexus between the legislative arm and the executive arm. And of course, just like in ours, it comes now to the issue of impeachment that now brings in both the executive and the legislature and the judiciary, when either the president or the deputy is being impeached. So when there's a deadlock, the president has to reach out to the speaker. And in this case, the current speaker of the House, remember even when he had difficulties being elected even by some of his members, he tried to play hardball. So Biden and to call him to White House. Went the first day, had discussions, they couldn't agree. Went back. But of course in Kenya, if that happened, you say, what do ameenda kula ugali? You know, this is the problem. We actually enjoy cheap stuff. We like, but that is the way this system is designed to allow for constant consultation. Give and take. They went on haggling, they could still not agree. So Biden told him, can you come with a few of your members from the Republican Party? And Joe Biden called a few of his guys from the Democratic Party to the White House. Na wanasema panapo wazee aliharibiki neno, aliharibiki jambo, ama namna gani? County Commissioner, si ndio hivyo? So this idea of this consultation, I'm just trying to emphasize the point Kimuli made. Hii mambo ya kujipiga kifua, ati wewe tutaonana kule. Kwani uliambiwa mimi am a child of a lesser God? Wewe unanipigia kifua ati wacha tutaonana, hata hatuwezi kuzungumza, tutaonana kule. Kule wapi? Kwani umefanya nini? Nini umeweka huko ambayo unasema tutaonana kule mbele? And it has been ably demonstrated to us. Even as we go bragging that tutaonana kule, you have no control of that system. How long is going to take? Don't we talk about the value of the band at hand? Being worth more than... because you don't know. You are going to face a very uncertain situation. And therefore, for me, as the office of the principal legal advisor to government, we have taken, I've taken the lead in presenting about last 2 months ago the policy to actualize ADR, and it's been approved by the cabinet. Because we recognize and appreciate that there is value in alternative dispute resolution mechanisms. And just like my friend Kimuli said, if you look at Article 159, Clause 2, Paragraph C, within the judiciary, it recognizes court is required to encourage and facilitate dispute resolution, alternative dispute resolution, including reconciliation, mediation, negotiation, and not limited to traditional dispute resolution methods. Traditional. Which I think is the reason why my friend Judge Kanyaru was talking about Nyangi Ndiriri na Ngome. Well, I know, I'm not too sure that anybody knows about those. They normally come up, Judge, they normally come up during the time of politics. So, but I've never wanted to use them because I don't think whether they are, when people are brought together by political interests, then, they also lose their neutrality. That's the biggest problem. Many of them are my friends. They even keep calling me, tell me, oh, there's this, they want to do. I tell them, but how are you organized? Who put you there? Because even the issue of legitimacy is a problem. You can ask Mheshimiwa Mugoji. In his politics, he doesn't need... and so was I. When I did my 2 terms, I think they realized that I wasn't easy, so they kicked me out. And I was happy because I never looked back. I always like looking forwards. But I think properly harnessed, if they are told, please, to any siasa, they can be of value. Because there's need for people, wazee kuketi pamoja, kuna matatizo mengi sana tunaweza kutatua humu vijijini tu. In that policy which has been approved, we intend to work very closely with the Ngao officers. You'll be seeing but first it has to be taken to Parliament. We would want a very robust debate on it because we are open. We would want a situation that whatever comes up, if there are any laws to be made out of that policy, then they have the greatest input and support from the largest section and segments of our society. Because, as you know, our Constitution has mandated one key frame of it is the issue of public participation. So it's important that when it comes, we'll get the Parliament to go and debate it, and then they will give us a feedback as to what they think we should do. But of course, there's no gain saying that we are trying to implement the Constitution. And from the executive, I would want to assure the judiciary, this is the first time, and I've been around for some time, when you hear Judge Ochieng telling you, ile miaka tulisoma si juzi. So we've been around for some time. But I can say, without any fear of contradiction, we have clear focus on this issue of alternative dispute resolution. And it's being led from the President himself. In fact, several of the matters that the government is involved in today, mainly civil, we are approaching them within that frame, either mediation, negotiation, and it's easy, it's doable, because in many cases you will go and find people write in the papers, oh, AG has lost this case. AG never signed any contract. Those contracts are signed by people in ministries, ukiwaitisha ushahidi. Saa zingine ndio rais anakuja anasema lakini sasa nyinyi mnashinda mkisema ati hiyo iko kwa AG. Iko ukiuliza waziri huyu, hiyo excellence iko kwa AG. Huyu iko kwa AG. Kwani AG ndiye ukienda kuangalia usome zote unamuuliza hebu leta hii. Ulisoma hii, ulisign. Hii wewe ndio ulisign hii. So you committed the government to do this. Na unasema ati AG amepoteza kesi. Nani amepoteza? You see, when the government loses, it is you and I. It is the taxpayer. So we are insisting that many of those cases we try the route of mediation. I know a number which are already going through that process, but I'm not at liberty to disclose. But quite a number. Because it is the right thing to do. We spend too much time in the courts, and sometimes in fact, wasting courts, on many occasions, wasting courts time on matters that people can sit. Wakija pale kwangu mimi nawauliza sasa jameni, wewe ndio PS, wewe ndio ulisign hii, wewe ndio contractor, and then mketi pale, niambie sasa iko shida gani? It's a route to go for our country. It's a route to go. Kwa hivyo nataka kushukuru sana idara ya mahakama, because you've also led by example. Na kwa sababu nilizungumza na Madam Chief Justice juzi aliniambia nilete salamu zake. You know, she's also very, very passionate. That's one thing I really admire. She's very passionate about this issue of alternative dispute resolution as a means of access to justice. Because I mean Kimuli just said it. If watu wamekubaliana kule, and if it serves them well, if it's not against public policy or against morality, you let people consume their services wherever they na waendelee. Kwa nataka kusema ni shukrani nyingi sana kwa kunialika, na nimefurahia kuwa nanyi. Hapa ni nyumbani. Kwa hivyo mimi sina la kusema, sina mengi isipokuwa niseme we are richer with this kind of as a county, we are richer with this kind of effort by the judiciary, the words of wisdom that have been given here. Those examples, I mean, they are commonplace. Those are examples, those are things that happen everywhere. Kwa hivyo, sisi kama sisi hapa Embu, Jaji Ochieng, asante, my brother. Kimuli, thank you very much. You said, Bwana asifiwe. But let me also thank the Law Society of Kenya.